I'm in a grinder kitchen, um, recording this presentation off my laptop, and this is my roommate's projector. Um, and there's actually like people watching, so there might be some questions throughout the presentation. Today I'm going to be talking about the Arabic music tradition and its evolution. I chose this topic because I'm from the Middle East, and earlier this year we talked about the evolution of the Western music tradition, and we talked about its influences, how it evolved over the years, and what it is right now. So, where exactly is the Middle East? A lot of people get this confused. They might confuse the Middle East with Arabic countries because not all countries in the Middle East speak Arabic. They might not know which countries are in it or not. So this map just shows all the countries that are considered in the Middle East. Not all of them are Arabic speaking. For example, Sudan, Ethiopia, Somalia, Turkey, Cyprus. These are all countries that are still Iran. They're all countries that are considered Middle Eastern, but they don't necessarily speak Arabic. Everything else, they pretty much speak Arabic. So throughout this presentation, when I mention Arabic music and Middle Eastern music, I'll mostly talk about Arabic-speaking countries. So, what influenced Arabic music? There's a lot of ancient Greek influences. There's also influences from India and Central Asia. You can even still hear the influences from the Indian music tradition up until this day. That's why a lot of people might confuse Indian music with Arabic music sometimes. So a lot of countries broke off from the Arabic and Middle Eastern traditions, mostly the non-Arabic speaking countries such as Iran, India, Israel, and Turkey. They diverged to a more Western music tradition, and you can hear that now if you listen to any music that's from that area. Most other countries such as Egypt, Saudi Arabia, all the countries in the Gulf, they still follow the Arabic music tradition, and that's what I'm going to be mainly focusing on. So, during the Dark Ages in Europe is when the Black Plague happened and killed off almost a third of Europe's entire population. It was a very dark time in Europe, but at the same time, from the 8th to the 13th century in the Middle East, that was known as the Islamic Golden Age or the Middle Eastern Enlightenment. And during that time, there was a lot of advancements in science, art, and then, of course, music. As I mentioned in the previous slide, during that time, Islam was just starting to spread all over the Middle East, and that spread of Islam carried with it a spread of culture, food, and of course, music, and that's how Arabic music traditions spread during that time. So, traditions in Arabic music. First off, I would like to say that when they first started experimenting with music theory, they translated most of the Greek scores and how they interpreted music theory. They studied for a while and they mastered it, and they got a pretty good understanding of the Greek music theory. Arabic music tradition is very melodic, and it's based on something called the maqam, which means mode in English. The maqam provides a set of rules for composing and singing Arabic songs, and it also specifies certain intervals and structure and melody development in writing a piece or performing it. So, difference between Arabic and music traditions. Unlike Western tradition, Arabic music includes quarter notes in between the full notes, and you can really hear that when you listen to like pure Arabic music, new and classical. They still do that. Usually these quarter notes are either played by the vocalist through their actual voice or through the oud, which is an instrument I'll talk about later. There are very complex rhythmic structures which are usually played by the percussionists, which also I will expand on later. Most Arabic singers have a tense vocal tone, and I have some examples of Arabic music that I'll show later on. you'll really see how tense the vocal tones can be. And it's also very monophonic, which means that they don't do much harmony. It's mostly about the tone of the vocalist. Alright, so differences continue. Traditional Arabic music usually lasts for 1 to 3 hours. That's been the case up until I want to say 80s or 90s. Now it's just like Western music. It's usually every song is usually like 3 to 4 minutes. But back then, when the songs were hours long, people would go and they'd watch, and there would be first hour or two would usually be very slow, builds up anticipation, suspense in the audience, and then would have a very huge climax in the end, and everyone goes crazy. This type of music was called the tarab. I don't think there's really a literal translation for it in English, but that's what it's called. So the instruments they use. There's a lot of string instruments, but the main one is called the oud. It looks like a mandolin, and it kind of is like a mandolin. It has 4 double-stringed strings, so 8 strings in total, just like a mandolin. Originally, it started with just 4, but as time progressed, they added the double strings. I'll play how it sounds. So it sounds a lot like a mandolin. You'll see. So that's usually how oud sounds. As I said before, it's a lot like a mandolin. The other one's the Arabic harp. Ancient Egyptians were mostly known for the actual harp, like the big one you just plug, but this one's different. This one, you usually when they play it, like as shown in the picture, a person sits down, he crosses his legs, and he puts it on his lap. Usually they wear certain picks on their fingers to pick the strings, to plug the strings with. Unfortunately, I couldn't find an audio so that you know how it sounds, but yeah, that's how it is. It sounds a lot like a regular harp. It's called qanun in Arabic. I don't think there's a name for it in English. I don't think anywhere in the West they use this instrument, but it's pretty cool. Percussion. They use very simple percussion instruments, but with these very simple instruments, they create very complex rhythms, and I will show you examples now. This is called the rik. It's a very simple drum, and there's little pieces of metal on the sides that also create sounds. I'll show you an example in the end of that. And then this is called the goblet drum, which you might have seen before. In Arabic, it's called the darbuka. I'll play you something real quick. This is how they usually create the rhythm in most of the songs. Even though in modern Arabic music they might not usually use these instruments in every song, but they're still very prevalent in festivals or holidays such as Eid, or even in weddings they use them a lot. And then woodwind instruments. These are Egyptian bamboo reed pipes and flutes. This is the reed pipe. This is kind of the older one, how they would used to do it 100 years ago. This is more of a modern one. Also, I'll play you how it sounds so you have an idea. It sounds a lot like a regular flute, but it has a specific tone to it. So, modern Arabic music. Modern Arabic music is, like I said before, is like 90s to the 2000s till now. It's heavily influenced by Western music tradition. And just like Western music tradition, you can hear the increase in dissonance. Back in the day, they had these very limited instruments, so there wasn't that much dissonance. Nowadays, there's like Arabic rock bands and Arabic techno music. I would say today the Western music has influenced Arabic music a lot. Some songs you can't even hear the difference. Oh, also, yeah, as I said before, a lot of Western instruments have been introduced, such as the piano and the guitar. A lot of songs now, a lot of Arabic singers now play the guitar and instead of the oud. So, influence of Arabic music on Western music. Lately, many musicians have started incorporating Arabic melodies and beats in their songs. I got like a couple examples. I don't know if you heard these before. Get Low or Sahara. Yeah. So I don't have much time, but these are three of the biggest, one of the biggest names in Arabic music. They're all very classic, nothing modern, nothing after like the 70s. They're very long, like this one's an hour and a half, and this one's 2 hours, so if you want, you can check them out. Yeah. Any questions? No questions?
What does Sahara sound like?
I can play it. Try to play it.
Oh, fancy. A lot of fun.
Wow. You paid for that. Oh.
You can already hear, even with the bass, the melody and the influence of Arabic music. Yeah. All right. Thank you, and just if you have any questions, just add in the comments in the discussion. Oh, wait, there's one more question.
So recently, around the United States, there's been a large change to electronic music. Would you say that Arabic music has also taken a change towards more of the electronic, techno, trap genre?
Yes, definitely. Nowadays, most Arabic songs are just purely electronic. They have diverged completely from the Arabic music tradition. They have adopted the modern Western music tradition, and yeah, they don't use most of the instruments that I talked about anymore. They're usually reserved for holidays or weddings or any events like that. All right. Thank you. Any questions, just post in the comments. I'll be glad to answer.
Finally.